This is a special presentation of the Inferno and the Torch.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special Extra Ember, partnering along with Torch Radio for this special Blazer profile. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. We have been busy. If you are a fan of the Inferno Blazer Sports Show, the Extra Embers have been flying. Jaylan, we thank you, bro, because we've been busy. You've been busy. We've had, in March, we had Victoria Ignacio joining us in March. We had Taylor Lewis in an episode that just recently dropped. Yep. Mike Helfer just, as of recording here, last week. And now we have rounded up basketball with Coach Chandler joining us today alongside my friend Jaylan Scott, who was the voice for Lady Blazer basketball this past season. So first of all, thank you both for joining me again, Jaylan, and for Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate and respect what you guys are doing. Just putting Blazer athletics out in the forefront and highlighting our program. So I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. First, finishing up your first season here, but you're not a stranger to Valdosta State as you came here as a assistant coach. So what was your first initial exposure to Valdosta State?
Just coming back from being an assistant, I didn't even know what Valdosta State was when I first interviewed here to be an assistant coach. And when I came here with Coach Carly Coons and she interviewed me, I immediately knew it was a place that I wanted to be. I knew immediately. And I actually had another job offer that I was kind of back and forth between, but I was really excited about Valdosta State. And so when I got the job offer to come back, I was really excited to be here as an assistant and then to come back now as a head coach. It's really, really exciting for me for this place to give me my first opportunity to be a head coach. It's a place that I really enjoy being. The community is just incredible. And so I knew for a long time that if this was a spot that opened up that I would be willing to come back to.
Absolutely. So, this year, this first season, and of course last year with everything that went on, but we had talked for the season, it was about maintaining the winning culture and winning, establishing that and continuing that going forward. What does that entail, kind of look like, and when you look for a player, especially now going into like the recruiting process, what do you think that you would say to a player when it comes down to how we establish and how we continue a winning tradition?
Yeah, we talk a lot about in our program this concept that we call fuel the flame. So if you see us post, we usually hashtag everything with fuel the flame. Yeah, we started doing that in our posts as well. Yeah, we speak with recruits in the recruiting process about, hey, we have this tradition of this rich tradition of success within our program, and that's awesome. That's great. We love that. We love that we get to play for a program and work in a program where winning is the culture. But the biggest thing is how do we maintain that, right? And so that's where Fuel the Flame came from. Just it's a constant reminder that we have to bring our best every day, right? That we have to, as individuals, collectively, as a unit, whether we're on the court, whether we're in the classroom, we want to always compete, but we want to do that to the best of our ability every single day. So every time we say Fuel the Flame, it really is a reminder of us that we have this history and this tradition of excellence that we stand on, but we also have to bring our best every single day. It's something we challenge recruits with in the recruiting process. We talk to them about, it's nice to play for a winning program. Everyone wants to go somewhere and win, but you have to be willing to do what it takes to win, and that's competing, that's handling hard, that's getting down and dirty and going through the grind. We talk a lot about you have to go through the toughness, and there's no way around it, and we're going to get people's best shot every single game just because of who we are. So we try to really challenge the girls to just bring your best every single day, and we got to get better every single day at something. So that's kind of how we get through it, and that's how we bring recruits in that are on the same page about wanting to be better. And so we challenge each other every day to just be the best we can possibly be. That's the only way we continue, to fuel the flame. So.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that fuel the flame. Having that core of seniors who in this case fueled the flame last season, bring them in along with your class. How did that help build this team's dynamic? Because they were a gritty group. This was a very gritty, physical, willing to lay it on the line kind of team.
Especially on the defensive end as well.
How did those seniors, how that group really
mesh together?
To be honest, I mean, As phenomenal as they were in that 30-3 season, you have to think the only one that played significant minutes and contributed a ton to that was Victoria. So a lot of them didn't really get the opportunity to contribute. So they knew what it took, but they didn't actually have to go out there and compete every single night and bring it every single night and show up. So this season was the first year, really, those seniors that, though they were a part of that 30-3 season, this was the first year they got the opportunity to play extensively and to have to be the ones that show up. And it was an adjustment period. And that's the hard thing about coming off of a 30-3 season and then losing, almost all the scoring from that team was gone. The only returning scorer was Victoria, and she averaged 7 points a game. That was all I returned, was 7 points. And so a lot of different people stepped up in a lot of different ways. I think the nice thing is that those girls knew what it was like to compete. And so I didn't have to teach them how to compete hard. That was the beauty in having 5 people that had won at a high level and seen it be done. So adding in a couple seniors, Kirsten Nelson, who was a transfer from Stanford University, who played significant minutes, ended up being our leading scorer, second team all-conference selection. Adding Ariana Hicks, who was a Niagara transfer, who ended up averaging 10 points a game, second in the league in assists.
I argue all second team snub.
I agree. I agree.
I love
I agree. I was pretty upset about that one.
Best handles in the GSC.
Yeah, by far, in my opinion, and I'm totally biased, but I think one of the best, if not top 2 point guards in the conference. I thought she was phenomenal this season. Led the league in assist to turnover ratio. She had a phenomenal season. So we had a bunch of different people step up. I think having India Jordan, who she's won 4 championships here. I think just her presence and somebody that knew exactly what it took, that felt what it was like to go cut down nets. I thought her leadership was really incredible for us this year.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And then JC Justice, who had played in the conference, who I've known JC since she was in high school. So I think a combination between the desire to win, having new pieces, and I firmly believe that if I had one more year with that group, we could go win 30 games next year again.
Yeah,
I don't doubt. Honestly, I don't doubt that.
In the slightest.
I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad that we don't have another year together. We have 7. We had 7 seniors, but that group was phenomenal. I thought what they were able to accomplish in such a short amount of time was really remarkable. No one really expected us to be great. I think. When people saw what left this program after the 30-win season, they had very low expectations for us for winning, and I thought we surprised a lot of people.
Well, funny enough, honestly, we on the show, even dating back to the fall semester when we had Kyle and G, we honestly thought it was the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, we thought it was the opposite, that the precedent had been set for VSU, that this is Titletown. We win. In the words of Kyle, this is Titletown. We win championships, or you go home.
Yeah.
And we took that as a way of thinking that those high expectations were going to carry on to this next season, despite the massive turnover.
You mentioned the incredibly high standards of what last year set and what that precedent was for this year, and I think it's a little ridiculous. I think it's a little ridiculous to set the bar that high for a team that went through as much turnover as it did. Now, let me say this to preface as well.
A few moments later.
But also, to your point, there's no way you can expect a team that went 30-3 with at least, there's only 4 players left from last year's team?
Those are Justice, Ignacio, Wayland, and Stoddard.
Like, that is a lot of, and the head coach rolled as well.
And assistant coach.
Right, and assistant coach. So, like, again, that is starting from ground zero again.
Despite the massive
and the biggest thing is like, and kind of leading to my next question, you have been you've been here not only as an assistant but now as a head coach, so you know what it takes and what expectations can be. But what I was going to lead into was that you worked under Coach Coons for a while, and you not only here but also elsewhere. I don't know if you've had like those conversations as a head coach now. What are some of the lessons that you learned underneath her that kind of you've applied to now as a head coach here?
Yeah, just the biggest thing is just relationships. The biggest thing is you have to get to know the people that you're coaching. I think that's probably one of the best things. Carly was phenomenal at really getting to know our players and pushing them to a point that they could do things that they had no idea they could do. I thought she was phenomenal at that. I thought she did it in a very respectable and challenging way, to where she's going to demand a lot out of you, but isn't going to demean you, and doesn't have to really get, out of character to get you to do that. I thought that I always admired that about her, and her ability to just coach kids to their potential. That was something that I thought I did a pretty good job of this season in my first year as a head coach, especially with like an Aaron Whalen, a kid who everybody knew was really good, but this year really was able to kind of pull another gear out of her.
Yeah, double machine this year.
Just a kid that it was in there, and it was just a matter of the right system and the right style of coaching, and so I thought that was something that I really took heat from Carly Coons and just really tried to implement my first year as a head coach, and something I'll continue to implement, because I think it takes you a very long way.
Yeah. And to also mention that as well, how long were you assistant coach here before?
I was here for 2 years, two seasons.
For 2 seasons, okay. But at that time of coaching, what years are those again? I'm sorry.
2017 to 2019.
2017 to 2019. So obviously, as people know, in that time, there's been some change in the GSC. Yeah. There's been some change in the GSC. Sure. We lost West Georgia and Shorter, picked up Trevec and Nazarene. Now instead of traveling up to Carrollton, and Rome, we're going all the way up to Nashville. Yeah. We're going all the way up to Nashville, Tennessee to play games. Yeah. If I remember correctly, that Trevecca game was the one that I interviewed. That I had JC. I had JC on that game because she had a stellar performance. But the point that I'm getting to here is, from those 2 years you did assistant coach, from 2017, 2019, to now head coaching in the GSC, do you think there are major differences from the style of play from those years as your assistant coach to now as a head coach? Because we know things have changed.
Yeah, I think the style of play just across women's basketball across the country has changed, and I think you kind of have to conform to that, or you find your way at the bottom, right? I think the skill in this conference is significantly better. I think the teams across the board have all gotten better. Everyone plays faster. Everyone is pressing. Everyone is trying to generate more points. Everyone is shooting more threes. So I definitely think the skill and the styles of play have evolved in the GSC, but it's a tough conference. I tell people all the time, this is one of the best conferences in the country. I mean, I would argue that you could take probably the top 5 teams in this conference and go compete versus low Division I's and be competitive. So it's a tough conference. Back when we were playing, it was maybe 2 or 3 teams that were that way. But now, I mean, if you look at the standings, the rankings, we could have finished anywhere from 4 to 10. That's just how difficult it was.
That's how tight that race was.
It was tight. It was tight. That the last week of conference play determined our seeding.
Oh yeah, that was hectic.
It went down. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, that was hectic.
It went down to the very last game, and it was tough. It was a battle. This conference is very, very good and very challenging. So yeah, everyone's evolved. Everyone's gotten better.
Yeah, and in ways, when you speak about the competitiveness of the conference, this team was in a lot of overtime games this year, and I mean, I as the sports editor, I am a track just following everything, and I'm looking, I'm like, with the overtime again?
That Mississippi College Delta State series.
Right, and I was going to lead to that Delta State game.
Which by the way, I mentioned this to Coach Helfer. for the GSD semifinal game against Montevallo. That Delta State game. I was just getting to that. Yeah, I will say that Delta State game with Tootie Nelson getting the game winner. I will say that is 120% going on my reel. That's 120% going on my reel.
But as a coach, especially when you have a group that's, when you're in these type of situations again, and I know exhausted and going through all of that, and especially when it's time to draw up that final play, what do you say in that huddle to say, all right, what we have to do to execute and to wrap up and finish up games like that?
Yeah, well, it just depends on the game, but also it depends on the scenario. It depends who we're going to. If it's a shooter, you kind of got to pump them up with confidence. If it's like a Kirsten Nelson, she's already got confidence, so it's just a matter of her getting the ball. But really, just keeping them poised. I think that when you get into those tight situations, it's easy to kind of clamp up and get real, nervous and clammy, and that was what we did. I thought we started to learn with each game that we win in overtime. I thought we did a much better job of, even myself included, I thought we did a much better job of just we've been here before. Now at that point, by the time we had played Delta, that was our third or fourth overtime game, and so it's just a matter of getting them to be confident. A lot of that comes with practicing it more, so that when we get to the games, they're just kind of ready to go and excited about it. But yeah, just pumping in with confidence. I'm like, we got this. We need one bucket, or we need one bucket and one stop, and this is it. This is it. So, yeah, there's a lot of confidence, really. Yeah,
absolutely. Like that game against Delta State, I'm just looking, and I have Jaylan's, because I listen to Jaylan on the radio, not just a plug because you know, we always support, but also because he's my friend. So we kind of, I'm saying that willingly.
Hey, you know what?
Really, I'm playing. Anyway, so I have the game, I have his call on my ear, and then I have the game live, so I have we have like a 30-second delay. I always text him like during the game, like, hey bro, you good? You going? And then I just, it's a 30 seconds, so I hear him before the TV goes off, and I'm just like, I hear him go, and I hear him just lose his voice, and I am just like, dude, you have another game in 20 minutes, man. Like, and it's just like, it does. I mean, I could just hear it, and I mean, you given this team just gave us a lot more memories and things like that. And if there's a way to describe this team as a whole this season, what do you think? Like, if one word to describe it, what would you say that word would be?
I would say they're resilient. I would say they're resilient.
Absolutely.
I think this team went through way more struggle than anybody would know, and I think that's typical of a lot of teams. But I could always count on them to respond. I think that was the beauty in our kind of roller coaster of a year where we were winning some and then losing some. I thought for the most part of this year, I could always count on them to respond. Like if we got beat pretty bad or we lost really close, well, no matter what it was, I thought they always responded. I thought we faced a lot of struggles. We had some people injured. We had some people deal with some loss in the family. I mean, we just had so much, and it seemed like every time we were right there, we were right at a breakthrough point. There was something that came and kind of knocked us back a couple steps, and they just continued to keep pressing and fighting. And so I just thought this team was incredibly resilient. Again, I wish I had more time with just this group of people, because even now I feel like they really are starting to get even closer now that we're towards the end of the year. But I thought towards the end of the season they kind of started to get to a place of really getting connected and really knowing what we were looking for. I thought we started to play some of our best basketball towards the end of the season, and but they were just incredibly resilient. I thought this team was incredibly resilient.
Yeah, those last couple series against Auburn Montgomery and Montevallo at home that secured a spot in the GSC championship. The overtime win against West Florida, that was a really fun one. I remember that was a game I lost my voice. That was a game I lost my voice. And I keep texting him, I'm like, dude, I was scruffy through the men's game. Man, like, listen, I already got that. But the kind of look forward here into the near future. You guys already have a couple recruits that have signed on, and when you have 7 seniors that are leaving, like you have a major defensive specialist like short but mighty Kenya Edelhart, Ari's a junior, India, her leadership skills, her shooting ability, Victoria, JC, Tootie, Courtney, just all those seniors leaving. That's 7. Yep. So. But you already have a strong foundation. Obviously, if you keep Aria, Amaya Broadus has been an amazing surprise this season. But what are you looking for in terms of players and play style that you think you really go out there in the GSC and go, we'll hang with you despite the fact that we've lost like half of our team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. It doesn't really concern me that we've lost a lot of seniors. I think one of it is you got to kind of take into account that our biggest loss, honestly, from a production standpoint, is Kirsten. I think what we lost from our guards that are leaving, we can replace. I feel very confident in our ability to replace that. But we return, I think, 3 of the best players in the conference. I think we have the potential for Aria Hicks, Aaron Wayland, and Amaya Broadus to be all conference players. I really believe that. Ari, I think, it will only get better now that she's familiar with the conference. I think Erin Whalen she's on another level right now. So I'm just glad she's on my team and not any other team. And then Amaya brought us as well. I mean, she just between the day our season ended and today, she looks like a completely different player. So I'm really excited about just having those core 3 pieces back. But then we've also added, I've signed 3 seniors. I meant 3 high school. So we'll have 3 freshmen coming in. Kendall Dykstra, she's a long guard that can really shoot it. She can put the ball on the floor and get downhill. And just a great person.
Sounds a lot like Jillian. Sounds a lot like Jillian. I forgot to mention Jill.
Kind of like she's, I would say, kind of our Jillian replacement, but younger, a little bit more athletic. And then we've signed Sharday Rump, who's out of South Florida. She's another one that can just really shoot it, can really score the ball, kind of a Kenya replacement. And then we've got a post player forward, also from South Florida, Rebecca Sovereign, who's a little bit more of a face-up forward, kind of undersized, but she's a mismatch nightmare, incredibly athletic, can jump up and touch the rim barefoot. So I'm really excited about her and what we'll be able to get out of her, but then also obviously adding a couple transfers from the portal. I think we can go in there and get some kids that can really help us from a shooting, athleticism, speed standpoint. So I'm really excited about what we have coming back, but also the pieces that we're adding. I think we got a chance to be really good again, and so I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. There was a moment that I'm thinking back now, but I think I remember interviewing you after you got your first career win, and I believe you had like your family all there.
Yeah.
And, I know that feeling had to be amazing, but what was just that like for you, and just to have family in your corner, and game 1, victory 1 for you?
Yeah, it was honestly like a dream to me. It didn't even feel real, honestly. When I got back home, I was like, man, this is for real. Like, this really happened. It was a really cool moment. I've been away most of my career. I've been pretty far off from home. I'm from South Florida originally, but most of my career I've been up in Tennessee and Alabama, and so my family didn't get a ton of time to come watch me coach. And so just for them to be able to make the trip up as a whole family and watch me coach my first game, it was, honestly, I can't even put it into words, but it meant a whole lot to me. They're really excited about Valdosta State. They love it here. They're just as big of V-State fans as I am. So it just meant an incredible amount of just, gosh, I can't even put it into words. I was just excited to have them here. Yeah,
absolutely.
We hope your folks are tuning into this as well. Yeah. We see you here.
We see you. So I do have to ask you this as we wrap up, and you've been coaching a while, and you've seen the evolution of just women's hoops in general. What is something that not only just here, but what is something that's like excited you about the evolution, it feels like, in the last maybe 4 or 5 years of the growth of women's basketball, not only in its popularity, but in terms of also skill level as well?
The skill level is insane. I mean, seeing some of the kids do some of the stuff that they can do, I couldn't do it at their ages. But I think it's awesome. I think our game has always been an incredible product. I've always been a women's basketball fan my entire life, so I'm a little bit biased. I'm just so glad that the world is now seeing how incredible these athletes are, how hard they work, how skilled they are, how talented they are, even just how personable they are, and just really starting to show respect for them in the way that they honor their crafts. I think it's really phenomenal what the game has become. I also think the brand is a lot more fun. We used to be slow. We used to play with post players with our back to the basket. And the same thing on the men's side. I think the game has really evolved to shooting a lot of threes and playing really fast. And people are willing to go, like the Warriors, and go undersized. And it just allows you to play faster. And I think fast is exciting. Fast is fun. And so I'm really excited about the popularity the sport has gained. I'm also really excited that these young women are getting to share their stories, and people are excited about connecting with them. So I think it's a phenomenal thing. I'm really happy to be a part of women's basketball, especially right now. But I'm really just excited that people have now caught on to how incredible this sport is.
Absolutely.
And I can definitely speak for myself. I said the same thing to Coach Helfer as well. I'm not a basketball kid. This one over here is.
I am from North Carolina. I grew up watching, and in terms of when you were talking about the growth of women's basketball, and I grew up initially a women's basketball fan, particularly because the first collegiate game I ever went to was, because I grew up in North Carolina. I went to Duke, and I was Duke UNC, and it was women's basketball, and you couldn't tell if it was like, it was a disparity in the crowd. Like it's the atmosphere atmosphere of packed out Cameron Indoor Stadium and being there, and it's just like it's just an intimidating atmosphere, and it's you just like everyone's rooting for each other, and you just see the growth and things like that, and I mean it's phenomenal. Especially now, it's just like everyone's just getting caught up. Like, yes, this is great, guys. This is great.
And
I grew up, and I also feel like I went to the ACC tournament, so I'm seeing schools like NC State, and I'm seeing Virginia.
Oh yeah, that NC State Notre Dame game was something else. I can definitely say that that Duke UNC rivalry, if you want to bring that down to a Division II standpoint, that was definitely VSU West Georgia.
Yeah,
that now is going to be
West Florida.
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
You can also say maybe Delta State in a way, because I mean, especially the way that Delta played us tough, and I mean West Florida obviously, because each of those games were close and either went to overtime or it came down to the end. So yeah, you can say that as well if you want to get down to it.
Just following this team. Just following this team again as somebody who I didn't grow up in basketball. I was a football kid. I was a football kid growing up. Grew up in a football family back in Columbus, Ohio. Which fun fact, JC and I are from the same state.
Oh wow!
So yeah, we're both from Ohio. So just being able to. Being able to be exposed to women's basketball at this level, even 2 years ago, I started working for the broadcast crew. I started working for the broadcast crew, which is where I usually am. I'm sitting there at the baseline, but the camera. If I'm not on the road with y'all, that's where I usually am. Otherwise, but being able to I was camera 5.
Oh yeah, you're right.
See, I had an important.
You were also camera 2. So don't you say that.
I was camera 2 because I got kicked off. Because I got kicked out for.
He is actively cheering for the. I mean, it didn't matter where it was. It's just like I'm hearing. If I just see Jaylan just move off of the camera, I'm just like, oh no, oh no.
I guess the point is for this women's basketball team, it's taught me a lot of the sport. It's allowed me to find a new appreciation for basketball, both on the men's and women's side. Honestly, I prefer watching college ball than the NBA.
Yeah.
That's just.
But I do want to ask you this, and especially when we talk about the women, the evolution of the women's game. But in terms of coaches, and I mean, there are so many illustrious names. Did you ever have like a coach that kind of like you idolized, something that you always took from coaches, whether it be coaches that you knew or coaches that that have gone, whether it be.
I like that you faced this season, anyone that you know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily anyone that we faced this season. I think I really enjoy Dawn Staley, obviously. I think she's done a phenomenal job at South Carolina, what she's been able to build there. Just kind of started from the bottom and just built that thing, and now everybody wants to be a South Carolina Gamecock. So she's someone that I really admire. I like a lot of coaches at the P4 level. They do a really good job of it's a bunch of different styles, but they all have their own like niche. Like there's something that they're just really good at. And so I respect a lot of them. But Dawn Staley is probably my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, I thank you so much for joining us. Jaylan, as always, thank you for hopping in on with me, man.
Oh wait, I actually forgot one more thing. The last question you usually ask that you got to Coach Helfer, I want to ask now. When it is all kind of said and done, and this is looking way beyond. Yeah. But the same thing we asked Coach Helfer, same thing we asked Victoria, same thing we asked Taylor. We usually end these off with what do you want to be known here at Valdosta State when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I want to be known as somebody that inspired. That's the most important thing to me as a coach. I think that's what we're here to do. I know the X's and O's is fun and that's exciting, but that's very little about what we do. I think the biggest thing that we can do while we're here is inspire somebody else to do something. And that could be not even just within my own department. That could be some little girl in this community. That could be some little boy in this community. It could be anybody, that I touch as I navigate being in the city of Valdosta or on this campus. Just would like to be known as somebody that inspired people. And that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest mission as a coach, is to inspire someone to do something that they didn't think that they could do. So that's what I would ultimately like to be known, and be my legacy was that I inspired a group of people to go far and beyond what they could have ever imagined.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jaylan, thank
Not
you.
nice.
Yeah, now. Thank you. Well, I just forgot about that too. So thanks, Jaylan. Thank you for joining me, Jaylan. Thank you for joining us,
Of
Coach.
course.
I
Thank y'all
appreciate
for having
you on.
me.
We'd love to have you back on as well because Jaylan will be here. So if you ever
Yeah,
want to hop back
I'll be here.
on,
I'll be here next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So
All
we
right.
appreciate you joining us on. For Jaylan Scott, Coach, I am Chris Mercer. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you take to any of our Extra Embers that have been out now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.